2024 wasn't exactly the greatest time to be in video game development, especially on Western shores. Of the two big console makers, first-party titles from Sony and from Microsoft were quite sparse. They were more concerned with, closing down unprofitable or underperforming studios, as opposed to putting out tentpole releases. And as I record this, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is the final hope on the year for Microsoft to produce some sort of a success. Spoiler, it's more than likely not going to be the case, but in 2025, looks like they're going to be starting off the year quite strong with Avowed, Obsidian Studios' latest release. And well, Obsidian has been known to release, a fair few bangers in their time. I'd have to say KOTOR 2 and probably Fallout New Vegas being their most prominent releases. They had Outer Worlds, but it doesn't exactly have the best long-term reputation. But Avowed has been touted for a few years as being one to watch coming out of Xbox Studios' first-party developers, and well, it's dropping at a relatively busy time with Ubisoft shifting Assassin's Creed Shadows and sandwiching Avowed between the release of that and an early favorite for Game of the Year from Capcom's Monster Hunter Wilds. It's kind of got a built-in excuse of potentially being drowned out by bigger names in the space, but as we've seen, it's got a couple of trappings that you might remember plagued the early promotional cycle of a little title called Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Now, I don't think it's going to be as cringy, but it still could be just as ideologically driven. But my favorite thing, this is from PC Gamer, my favorite thing about Avowed might just be how much stuff it lets me turn off. Oh, great, fantastic. So instead of saying, hey, I'm really looking forward to this game, this is Obsidian finally capitalizing on its promise. Okay, finally realizing its potential. No, it's got options in its menus. Oh, great, fantastic stuff. My experience playing Avowed when it launches in February will be very different from yours. Maybe that sounds obvious. It's an Obsidian RPG after all, with quests and dialogue choices even in the first couple hours that seem likely to echo throughout the journey. That's to be expected. But it's the first time in one of its games Obsidian applied all the care it puts into wildly branching dialogue trees into its interface options too. Yeah, the biggest and most obvious choice will be between the first and third party cameras. After trying both, I firmly prefer the default first person option. Interesting. But I know that there will be a number of RPG players who are excited to have the alternative. So yeah, once again, hey guys, look at our game. It's so immersive. It's great. Hey, we got a legendary studio that is known for immersive stories, but take a look at all of the settings we have in our menus, and hopefully we can get nominated for having scrollable text size and accessibility options, including a deathless mode so that games journos can go ahead and breeze through the story as fast as they can so they can just excrete out a review for one of their dying sites. Fantastic. This is one of those things, right? Like, this is another highly anticipated game from a once well-regarded studio that is years on from producing its best work. KOTOR 2 was a second-look gem, picking up the pieces of BioWare back in the cut. Interesting how that comes back around. And then, of course, releasing arguably everybody's, or at least purists' favorite Fallout game outside of the originals with a New Vegas. But we're how many years removed from that? And Outer Worlds wasn't really that well regarded. Pillars of Eternity, that's pretty decent, but on the story front, are we really working with the same cast of characters? Or even if we do still have talented people working at this studio, are they still going to be under the oppressive thumb of stringent Microsoft regulations, as even Elon Musk is picking up? Elon Musk reacts to Xbox's upcoming Avowed featuring Pronouns. Utterly unacceptable. What are we talking about here? Elon Musk shared his thoughts about Xbox and Obsidian Entertainment's upcoming first-person fantasy RPG Avowed. Well, it's first or third person, okay? Featuring pronouns, describing it as utterly unacceptable. And it was revealed that developer Obsidian Entertainment, known for Fallout New Vegas, The Outer Worlds, and Pillars of Eternity, will include pronouns after YouTuber Force Gaming shared an early review of the game. While discussing the leveling system, he showed off some of the game's menus where it clearly identifies his characters with he/him pronouns, which can we point to a single game that's out there right now that has been enhanced with the inclusion of this modern day ideological nonsense? This is a fantasy game, for Christ's sakes. What is the need for this modern day bullshit? Oh, right, there isn't any. But yeah, there you can see in all of these menus, because apparently that's what this game is all about. Just, scrolling through different menus. You're a war hero, you're level 6, you got health, essence, stamina, and he/him pronouns. Very important stuff. Former World of Warcraft lead, Mark Kern, aka Grums, reacted to the pronouns being included in the game and Fandom Pulse's initial cover writing on X. "I'm drawing a line. I'm rejecting any game that has pronouns in it, and your grammar Nazis know what I mean, so stop being stupid," he explained. "I don't care if the game is good. A message must be sent. Pronouns promote a woke mind virus, and gamers must send a clear message." Yeah, man, that's so stupid. Nobody wants this, okay? And the people that do want it aren't going to buy your game to begin with. Might play it on Game Pass because somebody in their family has a subscription, but outside of that, you're trying to appeal to an audience that just simply isn't there, that never shows up to anything that they try to champion. They'll try to justify it as saying, "Oh, it's just something small, it doesn't matter, why does it matter so much to you?" But then when the other side of that equation points it out, it's like, well, why is it in there? Why is that a problem for you? And then there's mods on websites or community tabs to get rid of the pronouns. They somehow manage to get those mods removed. So if it's not such a big deal, if it's not such a problem, then why getting rid of them? Why make that such a big issue? Interesting. Musk responded to Grums' post on X, writing, "Having pronouns in a fantasy video game is utterly unacceptable." Big frowny face. I mean, yeah, it's stupid. It's just like having top surgery scars in Dragon Age the Veilguard in a dark fantasy setting. It is so foolish. You can become whoever you want. Why do you have to cram your linguistic terrorism down the throat of everybody else? Most people who are going to create their own characters are going to make a guy or make a girl. That's it. If you give them the option to be as spastic as you want with all of these different pronoun choices, yeah, you're going to have some absurdists that are out there. Otherwise, that's just going to get looked at and the side eye, and nobody's going to pick it. I would love to know, like if BioWare was going to be honest about any of the numbers in regards to Veilguard, how many people actually, earnestly, like with any good faith, created a character, okay, to play that trash game? How many of them actually chose they/them pronouns as opposed to creating male characters and female characters? Who's this appealing to? Musk's comments are not surprising. Back in September, he reacted to Dragon Quest creator Yuji Horii, accusing American regulations of forcing him and his team to remove male and female and replace with Type A and Type B for Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake, which I think just recently got released, and it's getting pretty rave reviews, so good for Horii on that one, okay? It's just boo on the whole Type A, Type B stuff. Horii infamously said, "In Dragon Quest, you used to be able to choose between a male and a female main character, but now you get to choose between a man and you can't choose between a man and a woman anymore. And then we had to label them as Type 1, Type 2. I really wonder who's even complaining about this." Exactly. We've been asking these questions for years at this point in time, and now that we're finally, especially in 2024, finally starting to underscore that the modern audience is simply a myth and that nobody wants woke gaming anymore, we can finally start to put this concept to bed. Because going back to what Elon Musk is talking about, he's been on a bit of a video game kick here recently, the top Diablo player in the world, turning his attention to Mario Narfwal post here. That's very interesting because Mario's on top of a lot of things. It's just gaming, woke gaming specifically. Let's take a look here. Turns out no one wants to play woke video games. DEI heavy Concord and Dustboard failed spectacularly, with launch numbers plummeting to double digits and widespread player rejection. Well, I mean Concord and Firewalk Studios. So Firewalk Studios just recently got closed down, and Concord servers were taken offline not but 14 days after its full release. So yeah, Sony's Concord struggled to maintain even 100 current players. Yes, and Dustborn peaked at a mere 83. Both are criticized for prioritizing political messaging over gameplay. Meanwhile, non-political, yes, Black Myth Wukong shattered expectations, selling 10 million copies just 3 days. Concurrently, 2.1 million players, and that's still getting a considerable turnout to this very day. Developers face a clear takeaway: gamers want content, not ideology, citing a Federalist article that is speaking some harsh truths, because yeah, players want engaging games, okay? They want fun games. They don't want any preaching in their escapism. They probably have to deal with an overbearing Karen in HR talking about the importance of pronouns. So if they're going to be sitting down to play an FPS, they don't want to have to select if I'm a he, him before selecting your loadout. This appeals to a small subsection of weirdos that are online. And online weirdos are just that. People that you used to disregard the opinions of because they carried no common sense and no overall values. If we could go back to treating those people with that same level of relevance, the world would be a better place, and we would go back to having proper escapism, and that gaming would actually be great again, and not seeing studios and not seeing once great developers reduced to creating disposable tripe pushing unpopular messaging. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.